Hi Stampers, Diane Dimich here with ddStamps.com, and today I'm going to teach you a new technique called the bokeh technique. And that is the technique, you've seen it out there in photography where the lights are all faded and has different depths to it. When I finish this project, you'll understand what I mean. And I'll also have posted a picture up on my blog of the sample that I finished with this, and at the beginning of the video. So what you're going to start with is, I'm using a piece of Stampin' Up's watercolor paper, and I cut it in half. And so it's, I think it's 5.5 by, or 4.25 by 5.5 or something like that. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to tape it down with, and I'm using some of my washi tape, which is nice because you can pull it up and pull it down. But I want to hold that piece of paper down. And also this makes a little barrier around it, so when I'm working with water, which we're going to be doing a lot of watercoloring on here, that will hold the water into my project and not having it running off all over. So I'm going to start with an aqua painter, and I had just added some water down into this tube. You unscrew this and put water in there, and then you've got a continuous flow of water out of the aqua painter. And to begin with, you're going to get this watercolor paper really wet. But first, what I should do, I guess, is I've got 10 drops of water in each of my little containers, and I'm going to add 3 drops of re-inker to each one. I'm hoping that's a good combination, and this is Daffodil Delight, Melon Mambo, and Pumpkin Pie. I was only going to use 2 colors, but I thought, let's go for it. Let's use 3 and see what happens. So to begin with, what you're going to do is get that water starting to flow through there, and then you make sure that you get your watercolor paper good and wet to begin with. You want your colors to really blend well, and this will ensure that they do. And once I've done that, then I'm going to come in with and just dab color around. There's no rhyme or reason. You just put color onto the paper. And it's all going to end up, in the end, it's going to bleed in together anyway. And then come in with some Melon Mambo. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you get color everywhere on there. And you don't have any white spots left. Good luck with that. Like I said, this is really a messy technique. But that washi tape is going to hold that ink right into the center of my project and hopefully hold down the warping of the paper just for this technique. And come in with some more yellow. You want to make sure that you use colors that blend well together so you don't end up with everything a nice shade of brown. And I just think these colors are fun together. And now all I'm doing right now is just making sure I have no white spots. I want the whole piece of watercolor paper to be colored. And I love it just like this, actually. But wait till you see the finished product. Okay, so that's the hardest part. No, that's not the hardest part. So there you have it. That's all you need to do to begin with, and then we need to wait for this to dry. And if you want to hurry up that process, you can take a heat gun to it, which I just may do that to speed up the process. And I will be right back. Okay, Stampers, once that your watercolor piece is dry, and I did take a heat gun to this just to speed up the process. I went ahead and took it right off, and you can see where I had that washi tape around the edge, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to cut this piece down when I'm done with it anyway. So what I did is I took my circle framelits, so my pack of framelits, that looks like this. I took a few of those out, and I cut a piece of acetate and just made a stencil for myself. So it's just a bunch of different circles. And I'm going to lay this down here, and then come in with a sponge dauber and a fairly wet craft ink pad. Oops. And then just go ahead and sponge in my circles. And you're going to do these at all different Lots of different ways, but you can just see how I just go around in a circle and get the ink in there. Oops. I'll come in with this one too, I think. And I don't know if you can see this, but as I work through this, you'll be able to see it. And then I'm just going to move it, and it's okay if they overlap. Definitely okay. You want to just get your ink on there. Stencil in your ink. And then you can see this one here kind of overlaps. And that's okay, because I am going to, that's kind of what you want to have happen. This one overlaps too. And you're just going to go ahead and fill it in. And you'll start seeing, this is really awesome. I hope you can see that. But you'll start seeing that technique. It's just beautiful. And these would be awesome in every color. You do want to make sure that your watercolor paper is dry when you're doing this, or it'll just end up kind of smudging and smearing. But overlap them. That's kind of the look you're looking for. Some of those got a little thick, but that's all right. And then I'll put a few over here. And then I think I'm going to be done with this part. And then what you can do after you've gotten your ink in there, you again want to wait for it to dry. So we're good there. And then you can also come in and just fill in some of your spots, oops, with the dauber, and add just a few more. It doesn't really need a lot, but that is the bokeh technique, and it is awesome. It looks really cool, and I can't wait to see it when it's dried. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I did let that dry, and I love it. It just is amazing. One of the things I did find is that once it dried, it blends more into the background, and I just had to add some more white to some of my circles to make them pop a little bit more. So you can add as much or little as you want. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stamp set Fabulous 4. I'm going to use this little Celebrate stamp here and some Stays-On ink. And the reason that I'm using Stays-On is because I want this, I'm hoping it's dry, I'm assuming it's dry, but I really want that to pop. And so I'm going to add the Stays-On ink, and I'm going to stamp it right here with some firm pressure. And I'm going to hold that there because the watercolor paper has a little fiber to it. I want to make sure that that ink gets into those fibers and makes it pop. Okay. I did get a couple splotches on there, but that's okay. I shouldn't have rocked it. I rocked my stamp a little bit. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some little rhinestone embellishment. So I think we're going to be fine. I hope. I'm kind of bummed. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this to a piece of Melon Mambo cardstock, but I actually liked it. I liked it. It was okay like this, but this really made that technique pop. And so I'm just going to put a little tiny border of white behind it. And because I used watercolor paper, you want to make sure you get enough adhesive on there. So let me get my adhesive going. And then I'm going to add it on to this and frame this out with just a small frame around the edge with the Whisper white cardstock. And then this piece is going to go onto the Melon Mambo. Like that. That looks good. And then I'm going to come in with some rhinestones. And I'm just going to add a few rhinestones on here where I got my little paint blotch. And it's going to be okay. The rhinestones just kind of give it a little festive look. And just add a little to it. I don't want to get too carried away, but no, I think I'll keep them all down by the words. So there you have it. Just a really fun, quick, easy card. I love the technique, and that's really what I wanted to show you. And you could use any stamp as your verse and dress it up or down as much as you want.